One more thing when it comes to a hot tub is a pneumatic controller. A lot of the older hot tubs have pneumatic controllers because it was the first thing out, I guess, before digital. Um, Digital controllers have their own particular set of problems. They're affected by heat and they're affected by cold, where a pneumatic controller isn't affected nowhere near as much. And repair work on a pneumatic controller is much, much cheaper, where this would normally have a board in here controlling everything, and all of the switches would be soldered to the board. The other controller that I had gotten with another hot tub I tore apart was digital. I'd spent all the time installing it and discovered that the board was bad. The board for that inexpensive, it was actually an entry level Balboa controller. The board was like $400 for that controller. I did find it as cheap as $300, but still $300 to put a board in that's sensitive to static and the hot and the cold, and plus, if it goes bad again, another $300. Well, this controller, which is really cool, because if something goes bad, it's usually going to be a contactor, which is about $30. There's two contactors in it. You've got a transformer, that's 6-volt transformer on this particular unit. You've got a couple of air switches down here. Those are like anywhere from $10 to $20 for an air switch. All of these things are very, very reliable and last you for years and years and years. And they're not anywhere near as sensitive to the heat and the cold as a digital controller. And I've looked at many hot tubs when I was looking for a used hot tub, and a lot of them had problems. And it wouldn't run, or and they thought, well, it was a pump or something. And a lot of times it was just the controller flashing a code. So even if this would have had originally a digital controller, when I decided to get a new control unit, I would have gone with a pneumatic controller just because of the ease. I can repair this myself. I can diagnose this myself with, because it's going to be one of a couple of things. If a pump doesn't run, and with a meter you can tell if electric is getting to the pump. If the heater doesn't run, you can tell if the contactor is engaging, and you can tell if electric is getting to the, to the element. Much cheaper to maintain and to fix if you're maintaining your own stuff. But then again, and even if I'd have got a Royal, Royal still uses the pneumatic controllers. That is what they use normally, and they use that because it's reliable and it's really inexpensive to fix compared to a unit that's controlled with a board that is anywhere from $300 to $600 depending on what you've got. This is a much better system, and and if it had digital and it had a topside command center, I could very easily add air buttons. This unit is already designed. This command center is designed with air buttons already in it. It's designed to add to a pneumatic system. So this is the least expensive way to go. This was about a little less than $300 for this. It was about the cost of a new board, which I thought, well, hey, why not go with something I know is reliable? Plus, this tub was already set up for pneumatic controls. Adding the topside command center, I think, was another like $130 with the controller, and that's just for convenience. Because I added a second pump, I could drill and add more switches if I wanted to, but I wanted to be able to control the temperature and view the temperature from the topside command center, which, I've got a little floaty duck there with a thermometer sticking out of his butt I could use, but seeing how I was buying the controller, this was about $20 cheaper from Spa Guts, if I remember correctly, if I bought it at the same time. The only thing I had to add, which this tub did not have, is back in there is what's called a thermo well, which reads the temperature from the hot tub itself. So the temperature is being read off the hot tub, where a lot of them read the temperature that's going through the tube. So every time the tube cools off, it senses that temperature drop, the pump kicks on, and then the heater kicks on because it thinks the water is cool. But then once the warm water gets through the tube and warms the tube back up to the correct temperature, the thermostat senses that, shuts the heater off and the pump off. So I don't have that cycling issue with it reading off of the water in the hot tub itself. It only cycles when the water in the hot tub gets down to the preset temperature for it to kick on. And I'm able to more accurately control, I notice, the temperature of this hot tub this way than I am with the older controller. I had about a 2-degree swing with the older controller, 2 to 3 degree swing. And now that, and granted, that could have been like the fact that it was 20 years old and all of those components are 20 years old, but I'm able to keep this temperature within 1 degree, and it's been very, very accurate. And this was a good investment. It was a really good investment. So pneumatic controllers, that's really the way to go, in my opinion.